Dear friends and music lovers, welcome to this first episode in conversation with David Whitwell, conductor, writer, and professor. David Whitwell is widely known as a conductor and author of 13-volume History of the Wind Band and its Repertoire, as acknowledged by the late Wolfgang Soppen, state professor at Graz, as leading Austrian band scholar in the 𝖬𝖺𝗏. His wind orchestra at the California State University has had sensational success in the US, Europe, and Japan. I consider his books to be one of the most amazing accomplishments of the contemporary music publication. In 2011, Dr. Whitwell was elected to the California Walk of Fame in Music Education. This first episode is about what is the purpose of performance? I leave the stage to Maestro David Whitwell with a warm welcome.
Thank you, Alida, and good evening for the people who are listening this evening. My topic this evening is a very important topic that every conductor has to make a choice. And also individual musicians, if you're going to give a recital, you have to make the same choice. And the choice is what you're going to give to the audience. Are you going to give an aesthetic performance, or are you going to give an entertainment performance? So first, what do we mean by the word aesthetic? Aesthetic was a word created by Aristotle almost 3,000 years ago. He also created at the same time a branch of philosophy. There's a separate branch of philosophy called aesthetics. Aristotle was writing a book. He was writing a book intended for young playwrights, people who wanted to write plays for the stage. And he was writing a book about the most important kind of stage play, which was called tragedy. Aristotle also wrote a book about comedy, but that book has been lost. The book on tragedy has survived, and the title is Poesy, which comes from the word poetry, because at that time, all stage productions were given in poetry. Now, Aristotle, in writing this book, talked about all the important parts of a stage production. What kind of characters should be on the stage? He thought if it's going to be tragedy and some noble story, the characters need to be noble people. You can't have just ordinary people on the street participating on the stage. And he discussed the development of these characters. He talked about time, for example. If you're going to give a production one evening on a stage, can the story be something that covers 2 weeks? Or should the story be some very smaller time of action that fits the time available for the production? Well, after he had finished the book and talked about all the parts of a play, a theater play, he realized there was one topic he forgot. And that was the issue of what does all of this mean to the observer, the member of the audience? What is the relationship to the audience member? And Aristotle noticed that in the case of a great tragedy, a work by Sophocles or Euripides, that the faces in the audience, you could tell they were very involved in the story. And it seemed as if the feelings of the story, the experience of the story got inside them somehow. The first person who talked about this was Socrates, even earlier than Aristotle. Socrates gave the beautiful analogy of a magnet. If you have a magnet and then you have a piece of metal, the metal is not magnetized, but if you touch the magnet with it, then that piece of metal also becomes magnetized. It becomes part of the magnet, and you can get another piece of metal and attach it, and it becomes magnet. So Socrates said, this is what happens on the stage and when the story reaches the audience. If the audience is really involved in the part of the impression, the experience, he becomes like part of the magnet. The experience becomes part of him and not just something he watches on the stage. Aristotle noticed that in terms of an entertainment, for example, he noticed that entertainment events on the stage were quite different. And there were tremendous productions, even 3,000 years ago. Shipwrecks, big battles all on the stage. And he noticed that the audience watched this. They were very carefully watched this, but it never got inside them. It's as if it kind of just bounced off. Now, every listener tonight can understand this in the analogy of going to the movies. You go to the movies, some film with your friends, and you're sitting there and it's some kind of emotional or tragic story, and you're so involved in the story that when it ends, you want to just sit there. You wish they would not turn on the lights yet. And when you leave with your friends up the aisle to go outside, nobody's talking. Your friends are also still involved in this. It's got inside them, so to speak. And this can go on for days. I remember the first time I saw the movie Dr. Zhivago, and I saw it in South America in Spanish, but it stayed with me for like 2 weeks. I was so moved by the story. Well, on the other hand, if you go to the movies with your friends and you just see a comedy or something, you're still involved in the story. You laugh, you cry, but when the movie ends and you're walking out the aisle with your friends, all of a sudden your friends are talking about school, church, business, money. It's as if all those feelings were left behind and didn't go with them in the way that it does with an aesthetic event. So the conductor has this choice, what he's going to present to the listener. And this has been discussed by philosophers for 2,000 years. And it's a very old topic. And there are some questions that come up from this. One question is, does the conductor have a choice? Well, yes, the conductor does, because when the member of your town sees in a newspaper an article that says there's going to be a town band concert next Saturday, the member of the audience decides to go or not go, but he goes just he wants to hear a concert. He doesn't go with any expectation, no particular literature. He just wants to hear a concert. And so you can give him either direction, a serious concert or an entertainment concert, and he still hears a concert. So you have that choice. Now another question is there some kind of middle ground? Can a performance be partly aesthetic and partly entertainment? And the answer, on the basis of long experience, is no. Generally, the audience will leave after the concert with the feeling of one or the other. Either they will feel they were uplifted and moved by the music, or they will feel they were entertained by the music. And in this case, the the idea of an encore is very important. You can have a whole concert of serious music, but then if you play an encore that's some kind of just happy, silly music or something, it works like a kind of electronic eraser. It erases the feelings in the listener of the earlier part of the concert, and they will leave the concert feeling they were entertained. There's one famous example of this that a conductor talked about, a performance of the Verdi Requiem, which is one of the most beautiful and deeply moving pieces of music ever written. And at the end, the solo tenor came out and started singing cowboy songs. And of course, it changed the whole concept. The whole experience was changed by the encore. Another issue that is involved is what the audience gets from the evening is affected by the setting. For example, if your town band is invited to give a concert at halftime at a soccer game, well, it's going to be an entertainment event because that's what everybody is there for. No one is there prepared to concentrate on a serious, moving topic, a concert of some kind. And I remember one time going to a university concert, and the conductor came out wearing a clown suit, like a circus suit. And so before you even heard one note of music, you knew this was going to be an entertainment event. And I might also point out that this is why we turn out the lights. This is why when we give an aesthetic concert, they turn off the lights. Because of all of our senses, the eyes, of course, are the most important. And if the lights are on, the listener will be looking around the hall, and that distracts him from listening to the music. But if the hall is dark, then the eye influence is limited and allows the ear sense to become more forward and concentrate on the music. And one final point about all of this is that in spite of everything I've said, there will still be in the audience differences of reaction. If you give, for example, a concert of some kind of sad music, and you have an audience of 500 people, the experience of this music comes across, just like Socrates said, it comes across and comes through your ears, and the experience of sadness is experienced in you according to your own history of sadness. The person sitting next to you has a different history. The word sadness can mean something quite different to him. And so he's going to have a slightly different experience, but the overall experience will be the same for everybody, the basic experience of sadness. No one in the audience will start laughing. Nobody will think it's funny, you know. And so you still will have the basic communication, but it will be a little different with each member of the audience. Well, now what does all of this mean today for the conductor of a civic band in Italy? The first thing that comes to my mind is that the question, does his audience, the members of his town, really need more entertainment? They all have in their house a television set with maybe 100 channels, and almost all of it is designed for entertainment. They can go in person to see a soccer match. They can go see a tennis match. All of these things are forms of entertainment. So my question is, does the citizen of this town really need more entertainment? Should it be the conductor of the town band? Should it be his job to provide still more entertainment when there's so much already? And if that was true, how can the band compete? I mean, the entertainment industry is a vast financial empire. They spend millions of dollars producing entertainment. How can the civic band compete with that? So, in my view, the civic band conductor has a different opportunity, an opportunity to give a type of experience that the citizens of the town does not have every day, that he can give them a musical experience which is uplifting and which gets inside them and gives them a deeper experience with music. And in closing, I would just like to mention a comment made by George Friedrich Handel, the composer of the famous Messiah, which is probably the most frequently performed piece of music from the early period. In fact, this comment by Handel came at the end of the very first performance of the Messiah. And a member of the audience came up to him. It must have been some kind of an aristocrat, because Handel referred to him as my lord. And we don't know what the audience member said, but it obviously was something like thanking Handel for this entertaining experience or something. And Handel replied to him, he said, "My lord, I should be very sorry if I only entertained them. My hope was to make them better." And with that, I thank you for listening, and I look forward to another evening of discussion. Thank you.
Thank you to Maestro David Whitwell for being with us for the first episode in conversation with Maestro David Whitwell. You can find all the information about the publication of Maestro Whitwell books on Amazon and the end of the video. All links are available at the end in the post. Thank you for watching, and see you soon on the Major TV for the next episode in conversation with David Whitwell.